Deep beneath the ocean waves, a kingdom sparkled. It was a place of breathtaking beauty. Coral castles shimmered with an inner light. Schools of fish, painted in every color, danced through the water. King Triton ruled this magnificent domain. He was a powerful king, with a flowing white beard. His trident showed his great authority. He shared his rule with his wise old mother. She often gave him good advice for the kingdom. The realm was peaceful under their gentle guidance. The king had 6 lovely daughters. They were all beautiful mermaid princesses. Each had her own garden in the palace grounds. They grew wonderful sea flowers there. The youngest princess was named Coralia. She was the most curious of them all. Her eyes were as blue as the deepest sea. Her hair flowed like dark seaweed. She loved to listen to stories, especially stories about the world above the waves. She dreamed of seeing it one day. Life in the Ocean Kingdom was usually happy. Merfolk sang songs with the whales. They played games in the swaying kelp forests. Pearls were as common as pebbles on a beach. Giant clams held treasures untold. The palace gardens were filled with strange and lovely plants. Colorful anemones waved their gentle arms. Starfish clung to the pearly walls. Yet King Triton held one strict rule. No mermaid was ever to swim to the surface. He feared the humans who lived there. He believed humans were dangerous. He said they polluted the waters. He said they brought harm to sea creatures. His daughters listened to his warnings. Most of them were content in their deep-sea home. They found joy in their underwater world. They did not question their father's commands, but Coralia was different. Her heart longed for something more. She wanted to see the sky. She wanted to feel the sun. Her curiosity was a powerful current within her. Coralia spent many hours in her garden. She collected things that drifted down from above, a broken piece of pottery, a strange, smooth piece of wood. She imagined the world they came from. Her grandmother told her stories. Stories of ships, stories of cities, stories of people who walked on 2 legs. These tales filled Coralia's mind with wonder. She asked her grandmother many questions. What does the sun feel like, she would ask. Are human voices as beautiful as the merfolk's songs? Her grandmother would smile sadly. She understood Coralia's longing. She remembered her own youthful curiosity. When you earn your crown, my dear, she would say, then you may visit the surface, but you must be very careful. Coralia was impatient. Earning her crown seemed so far away. She was the youngest. Her older sisters would go before her. She watched them prepare for their first ascent. She listened to their tales when they returned. Their stories only made her yearning stronger. She made friends with many sea creatures. A playful dolphin named Finn was her closest companion. Finn would tell her about the surface. He sometimes swam near the top. He saw the great birds flying. He saw the bottoms of the human ships. Coralia would listen, her eyes wide with fascination. Oh, Finn, she would sigh. I wish I could see it too. Finn felt sad for his friend. He knew how much she wanted to explore. He wished he could help her. Coralia often swam to the highest sea mountains. She would gaze upwards. She saw the faint glimmer of light from above. It seemed like a magical, distant star. She dreamed of dancing in the sunlight. She dreamed of feeling the wind on her face. The rules of her father felt like heavy chains. Her desire to see the human world grew stronger each day. It was a powerful ache in her young heart. She knew deep inside that she had to find a way. She had to see it for herself. One day, Coralia could wait no longer. Her curiosity overcame her fear of her father's rules. Finn, she said to her dolphin friend, I must go to the surface. Will you help me? Finn was worried. He knew the dangers. He knew King Triton would be angry, but he saw the determination in Coralia's eyes. He could not refuse his dearest friend. I will help you, Coralia, he said bravely, but we must be very careful. We must not be seen. They needed more help for such a journey. Finn knew a wise old whale named Himrim. Himrim was large and strong. He could carry Coralia safely. Finn and Coralia went to find Himrim. The great whale listened to Coralia's plea. He too was hesitant. He respected King Triton. He did not want to cause trouble. But Coralia's gentle voice and earnest eyes touched his heart. He remembered his own youthful adventures. He decided to help the little mermaid. So, under the cover of a moonless night, they began their journey. Coralia clung to Himrim's broad back. Finn swam beside them, ever watchful. The journey upwards was long. The water grew lighter as they ascended. Coralia felt a thrill of excitement and fear. What would she find in this new world? Would it be as wonderful as she imagined? She held her breath as they neared the surface. The pressure changed, the sounds changed. Everything was new, everything was different. Finally Himrim broke through the waves. Coralia gasped. The air! She could breathe the air! It was cool and fresh. She looked around in amazement. Above her the sky was a dark velvet blanket. It was sprinkled with countless twinkling stars. She had never seen anything so beautiful. The sound of the waves lapping against Himrim's side was music to her ears. This was it. She was in the human world. Her heart pounded with an exhilarating joy. As Coralia looked around, she saw lights in the distance. A great ship floated on the dark water. Music and laughter drifted across the waves. Curious, she swam closer, with Finn by her side. On the ship, a celebration was happening. It was the birthday of a handsome young prince. His father, the king, wanted him to choose a bride. Many princesses were on board, but the prince seemed more interested in the sea. He played a beautiful melody on his flute. Coralia was captivated by his kind face. She was enchanted by his music. She had never seen a human so close before. He did not look dangerous. He looked gentle and thoughtful. Coralia felt a strange new feeling in her heart. She wished she could speak to him. She wished she could tell him how beautiful his music was. She stayed hidden in the shadows of the waves. She watched him for a long time. The celebration continued late into the night. Coralia felt happy just watching him. She thought he was the most wonderful being she had ever seen. Suddenly the sky grew dark. The wind began to howl. A terrible storm rose up from the sea. Great waves crashed over the ship. The sailors shouted in fear. Coralia watched in horror as the ship was tossed about. Then, with a mighty crack, the mast broke. The ship began to sink. People were screaming. They were falling into the raging water. Coralia saw the prince struggling in the waves. He was a strong swimmer, but the storm was too powerful. He was hit by a piece of wreckage. He lost consciousness. He began to sink beneath the waves. Coralia knew she had to act. Forgetting all danger, she dived towards him. She reached him just in time. She pulled his head above the water. She held him tightly. She swam with all her might towards the shore. The waves were huge. The current was strong. But Coralia was determined. She would not let him drown. Her love for him gave her courage. Coralia managed to bring the prince safely to a quiet beach. He was still unconscious. She gently brushed his wet hair from his forehead. She wished he would open his eyes. She wanted to see his kind smile again, but then she heard dogs barking nearby. She heard the sound of men's voices approaching. She knew she could not be seen. With a heavy heart, she slipped back into the sea. Just as she disappeared, a young woman found the prince. It was one of the princesses from the ship. The prince slowly woke up. He saw the princess beside him. He mistakenly believed she was the one who had saved him. Coralia watched from the water, her heart aching. She had saved him, but he would never know. She returned to her ocean home, full of sadness. She could not stop thinking about the prince. The memory of his face, his music filled her thoughts. Her father, King Triton, soon discovered her secret. He found out she had been to the surface. He learned she had saved a human. King Triton was furious. He reminded Coralia of the strict rules. He forbade her from ever thinking of the human world again. But Coralia's heart was set. She was deeply in love with the prince. She knew she could not live without him. Desperate, she decided to seek help from the most dangerous creature in the sea witch, Naga. Naga lived in a dark, fearsome lair. It was surrounded by whispering whirlpools and grasping polyps. Coralia swam to her, her heart full of fear and hope. Naga listened to Coralia's story with a cruel smile. The witch was old and powerful. She saw a chance for mischief. "I can help you, little mermaid," Naga hissed. "I can give you human legs, but it comes at a great price." Naga demanded Coralia's most precious possession, her beautiful singing voice. Coralia loved to sing. Her voice was famed throughout the Ocean Kingdom, but her love for the prince was stronger. "And there is a condition," Naga added. "If the prince does not fall in love with you by the end of the third day, before the fourth sunrise, you will turn into sea foam forever." Despite the terrible risk, Coralia agreed. Coralia drank the potion Naga gave her. A sharp pain shot through her body. Her beautiful fishtail split in two. It transformed into a pair of human legs. She found herself on the shore, near the prince's castle. Walking on her new legs was painful. Each step felt like treading on sharp knives, but she endured it for the chance to be near her beloved prince. Soon the prince himself found her wandering on the beach. He was kind and gentle. He saw she was alone and could not speak. He did not recognize her as the girl from the sea. He was intrigued by her beauty and her sad eyes. He took her back to his palace. He cared for her. Corelia was overjoyed to be with him. She tried to show him her love through her actions. She danced for him, even though it hurt. She smiled at him with all the love in her heart. She even tried to play the tune he had played on his flute. He recognized the melody. He felt a strange connection to this silent girl. But he still believed the other princess had saved his life. His father, the king, was eager for him to marry. He urged the prince to choose the princess who he thought was his rescuer. Wedding preparations began. Corelia watched with a breaking heart. She could not tell him the truth. She had no voice to speak her love. She could not explain that it was she who had braved the storm for him. The prince was kind to Corelia. He enjoyed her company, but his heart, he believed, belonged to the other. He felt a sense of duty to the one he thought had saved him. The days passed quickly. 2 sunrises had come and gone. The 3rd day was drawing to a close. Corelia knew her time was running out. If the prince did not truly love her by the next sunrise, she would be lost forever. She would become mere foam upon the waves. Despair filled her. She looked out at the sea, her true home. She missed her family. She missed her voice. Most of all, she feared losing the prince and her own life. Her silent love was a heavy burden. As the sun began to set on the 3rd day, Corelia felt utter hopelessness. She stood by the shore, tears streaming down her face. She was ready to accept her terrible fate. Suddenly she saw figures emerging from the waves. It was her sisters, and her wise grandmother. They looked at her with sorrowful eyes. They had come to help her. They told her that their father, King Triton, had sent them. He had been watching over her. He could not bear to see his youngest daughter suffer so much. King Triton, despite his anger, loved Corelia deeply. His heart ached for her unhappiness. He realized that his rules, meant to protect her, had instead caused her great pain. He understood now that her happiness was more important than any ancient law. He knew he had to do something. He could not let Naga's cruel magic destroy his child. He decided to use his own powerful magic. He would try to undo the sea witch's wicked spell. He wanted his daughter to have a chance at true happiness. His power was immense, second only to the sea itself. He directed his energy through his trident. He focused all his love for Corelia into this one act. He sent his magic towards a special seashell. His mother, Corelia's grandmother, held this shell. It was an ancient artifact, capable of amplifying good magic. The combined power of the king and the ancestral shell surged towards the shore. It was a desperate attempt to save Corelia from her fate. The air crackled with energy. The sea around her glowed. Corelia felt a strange sensation. A warmth spread through her. She felt a tingling in her throat. The pain in her legs began to lessen. She looked at her sisters and grandmother with hope in her eyes. Could it be true? Could her father really save her? The love of her family was a powerful force. It was a beacon of light in her darkest hour. She prayed that her father's magic would be strong enough to break Naga's evil enchantment, strong enough to give her back her voice, and her life. Just as King Triton's magic reached her, Corelia felt a change. The spell that held her voice captive began to weaken. She could feel words forming in her throat, words she had longed to speak. At that very moment, in the palace, the prince was about to say his wedding vows. He stood at the altar with the other princess, but his heart was troubled. He kept thinking of the silent girl from the sea. He felt a connection to her that he could not explain. He felt something was not right. Suddenly a beautiful sound filled the air, a song, a voice so pure and enchanting it stopped everyone in their tracks. It was Corelia. Her voice had returned. She sang of her love for the prince. She sang of the storm and the rescue. She sang of her sacrifice and her silent sorrow. Her voice, filled with emotion and truth, soared through the palace gardens. It reached the prince's ears. He froze. He knew that voice. It was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. It was the voice he had dreamt of. He turned away from the altar. He looked towards the source of the singing. His eyes widened in recognition. He saw Corelia standing by the shore. The setting sun framed her in a golden light. He finally understood. The memories flooded back. The feeling of being saved, the gentle touch, the melody she had tried to show him. It was her. It had always been her. Without a moment's hesitation, he ran towards her. He left the confused princess and the wedding guests behind. His heart knew the truth. He reached Corelia and took her hands. "It was you," he whispered, his eyes full of wonder and love. "It was you who saved me. It was your song I heard in my heart." Corelia smiled, tears of joy now replacing her tears of sorrow. "Yes, my prince," she said, her voice clear and strong. "It was me." He embraced her tightly. He knew then that his true love was not the princess at the altar, it was this brave, beautiful mermaid who had given up everything for him. Love had found its true voice. King Triton and Corellia's family watched from the sea. They saw the prince's joyous recognition. They saw the love between him and Corellia. The king's heart swelled with pride and relief. His daughter was safe. She had found her happiness. The sea witch's power was broken. Naga, defeated and furious, vanished back into the darkest depths of the ocean. Her evil plans had been thwarted by love and courage. The threat was gone. Peace could finally return. The prince brought Corellia back to the palace. He explained everything to his father and the court. He told them of Corellia's bravery. He told them of her sacrifice. He declared his love for her. He announced that Corellia, the mermaid princess, was his true bride. Some were shocked, some were amazed. But everyone could see the deep love between the prince and Corellia. The other princess, though initially surprised, understood. She wished them happiness. She knew true love could not be denied. Corellia and the prince were soon married. It was a joyous celebration. Merfolk and humans attended side by side. King Triton came ashore for his daughter's wedding. He met the prince's father. The two kings spoke. They realized that their worlds did not have to be separate. They saw that fear and misunderstanding had kept them apart for too long. Corellia and her prince became a bridge between the land and the sea. Their love showed everyone that differences could be overcome. Friendship blossomed between the two kingdoms. Humans learned about the wonders of the ocean. Merfolk learned about the marvels of the land. They shared knowledge and culture. They worked together to protect the seas and all its creatures. Corellia and the prince ruled wisely and kindly. Their love story became a legend. It was a tale of bravery. It was a tale of love that crossed worlds. It was a tale of how understanding and acceptance could bring lasting happiness to all. And they lived happily ever after, their love a beacon for both worlds.